We know how hard recruiting and retaining great talent is. Great teams build great companies. In this episode of From the Dock, Donnie Beene and Jeff Kilpatrick break down what we at EGW look for in a team member. Hear some great stories and get an inside look at the EGW hiring process, the culture that drives us, and why the right people make all the difference. Join the conversation and see what makes EGW a great place to grow.
I think it's an exciting time because we've got a lot of changes going on in our own organization, combining multiple entities and expanding our geography in the gas business. So I think it should be exciting for somebody to want to be a part of that.
I agree.
So,
and that's what we hope we can do, that and talk about those things and really talk about how they can grow as a person here too, and grow in their career.
Right.
It's strange. I know I was talking to some folks the other day. So much of what we want to do now is focus on the people.
Yeah.
Finding the right people, putting the right people in place, that just matters now, because that's how you build that entire team. That's how you build that culture. It's how you keep that culture going.
Right.
And so much of our time that we talk about is that person doing what we need them to do as far as with the rest of the team,
right,
growing what they're doing. So the people part has gotten so important across the board. You almost want to find the right people to put them on the team,
right,
versus trying to slot somebody somewhere.
I agree. Yeah, and I do think also that it's like whenever I ask somebody, why do you like working here, they always say it's the people. They like the people that they're you spend more time with people that you work with sometimes than your own family.
Yes.
So, but people love
kind
of working with each other.
Yeah,
so.
I don't disagree. And then you get people that actually grow up here, and actually you see them blossom and bloom and come from working on the warehouse floor, moving into customer service, going out into sales.
I think kind of Nathan Bales is one that I always think is a great example, because he kind of came in without any business experience, anything, and into the warehouse as just a warehouse associate, and got along great, learned it all, progressed into management there, and then went out into the sales, and then he's running sales operations now. So he's really been a great example of how somebody who's the right person can really flourish here and get different opportunities in different areas. So
I agree, and that's all around building that purposeful. You're just purposefully trying to grow people,
right?
And that's what's been a big important part of that.
Yeah.
And I know that you and I talk so much about that, but that's I see everybody else talking about it too.
Right.
They talk about how people help each other, how people serve each other,
right,
throughout what happens in the warehouse, whether it's just going and helping somebody pick or learn how to pick, do those different things, all the way to I'm going to go make those calls with you, or I'm going to go have that hard call with you, right, and knowing that you have that person backing you up is a pretty important part of it.
Well, I mean, especially back in the sales roles, just that whole serving your customer and serving your vendor well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what we've always been about, and the relationships that come with connecting with those guys. And I just think having that mentality and being able to communicate effectively and build relationships is always critical, really, in any role, not just sales. But
agreed. Well, and coming back full circle to like the guys we're looking for up there, we're really trying to find somebody that has that solution mindset. Mm-hmm. How do I make sure I can solve a problem for you? More than selling a product or a service, it's how can I help you solve that problem? And that person, then you could become that first call. There's so many times when a major utility around us has a challenge, and because we're so established in so many places, people have made that first call to us, and how can we help them? And
that's right.
And if we get all of our teammates thinking in that same manner, you become a solution provider instead of just a distributor.
I think that's why the customers want to do business with us, right? We're not just coming in with a line card and saying, hey, here's what we offer. We want to know what's bugging you, what's keeping you up at night, and then what can we do to help. And even if we don't do it all, we can partner with others or connect you with others to
and that mindset's got to go throughout our entire organization, or it doesn't work. I mean, because even if the CSR is sitting there and he just gets a call and he starts doing things on the paperwork, instead of thinking, I could help him by doing this.
Yeah.
If they do those things, then that customer gets a little bit more out of it, and everybody has that solution mindset.
Right.
That's really important to me when we're recruiting, when we're finding the right people, and trying to build the right team.
I agree.
For sure.
I can think of one good example with one of our large utilities where we work with them on multiple fronts. We sell them products, we sell them services, and we just happened to notice in their warehouse that they had a bunch of endpoints sitting there and just in a bunch of crates. And we asked them, hey, what's going on with these? Are are these new, or are they used, or what? And come to find out, they were just sitting there and nobody had a purpose for them, and they were costing them money. And we said, hey, we could assess those for you and look at them, see if they're good, see if they're not good, and then you could redeploy them, and we actually help redeploy those as a part of the service that we offer. But we're always just looking for different ways that maybe they're not even looking for a solution, but when you understand the problems that they've got, a lot of times you can figure out, hey, we could do something about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I even think about all the like the safety stoppers we sold.
Yeah.
That started off as not a real big project, but it turned into a lot bigger of a project because all of a sudden they wanted to make sure their contractors were working with them and everybody else. And guys like Daryl were bringing a solution of, hey, why don't we bring that in? Why don't we train and hand them those products off at the same time, so they literally leave here with something when they finish the training. Right. That was impressive to the guys that we're working with, and we've gotten a lot of pretty positive reviews out of that going, hey, that's a good way to do that. We really appreciate you taking the time to train us and then leave with products so we have it right in our hand as we leave. So those types of things help those guys take the next step and help the utility as well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. I think, we really try to show folks that there's a future for them here at EGW, and we try to give them exposure to different parts of the business. And offer training. We've invested in leadership development training for all of our supervisors and managers to help them grow and lead teams better, manage their folks better. And now that we're a part of Core & Main, there's a great training program in place, much broader than EGW could ever have on our own. And in fact, Core & Main's an award winner by Training Magazine for their development program. So there's a lot to offer. So just like we were talking about career advancement, everybody wants to, or we want people who want to advance in their career.
Right.
And one of the key ways to do that is to learn new skills, to interact with others in different roles, and we try to give folks those opportunities where possible.
I agree, and I think one of the things we concentrated on in the last 5 years is building benches. Uh-huh. And we're talking about building somebody that can come in and be a foundation and move up those roles and change. And just like if I take it on our sales side and we look at the CSR type of role, that type of role can move into the warehouse, that can move into the supply chain, it can move into sales. There's a lot of different ways because you get exposed to a lot of the business, and that's building our bench, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And a part of building the industry is, as these people leave and retire throughout the industry, right, is bringing back into that young generation, that next generation that's going to take their place, and then also be able to build their bench. So that this industry continues to thrive as we move forward.
And I think we've always felt like it's part of our role is to bring new talent, young talent into the gas industry and really replace some of those folks that end up retiring, and that's just part of our role as a good player in the industry.
And I'll probably even go farther than role. Maybe it's our obligation as part of the as part of the industry. So.
Right. It's difficult in any industry, but especially in the gas industry, of finding the right people, because you not only need a certain skill set, because the gas industry has a lot of technical to it, regulation, compliance, things like that are important to the industry. Safety is paramount, so you have to have somebody who understands the dynamics of the industry, but you also have to have somebody who's the right type of person, who has the right kind of moral compass, the kind of person who will fit with your team, that you can trust, and that they can interact with the rest of the team and bring value. So finding those things through an interviewing process is sometimes kind of difficult. So one of the things I think we're trying to do is use our networks, right? We are all about participating in gas associations and different meetings within the industry, as well as just our community, to try to find people that somebody knows, and you can kind of see interactions that they have versus just an answer to a job posting.
Yeah, there's not a lot of schools that teach the gas industry,
That's right.
Unlike when you go into welding, you can go into a lot of other things.
Right.
The gas industry is a niche that there's not a lot of schools that people are learning
Right.
and being taught to come out of. So they literally learn on the job and finding those folks through the industry or through the trade associations and things like that has been helpful for sure.
So when you're going through a bunch of resumes that of potential candidates, what is it that you would see in them or their LinkedIn profile that would turn you on and say, hey, this guy really might be, or this gal may be a good candidate?
I think when I look at those things, what I'm looking for is success.
Yeah.
And you can tell success on a lot of those things. Were they successful in their job? Because what they're telling us in their resume is what the activity and the things they did to get to the next step, right?
Right.
How did they win that $45 million job, or how did they do these types of things? If they explain those in the resume, and I can pick that out of the resume, that tends to stand out more than the person that just says I was the top seller, or I was the top this or top that. I want to see a little bit more detailed information in there.
I always like to see multiple positions within one company that have more responsibility, and sometimes that's hard to see because but that tells me a lot when I can see that, and then talk to them to understand why did you move from this position to this position, and see what the story behind it.
And in sales, I want somebody pretty driven, self-driven, that are self-motivated. That sometimes they might have started that at 15 years old when they're building their own business, or sometimes they might have started at 20, but they're doing something that they're trying to get better at and really succeed in that. And those stand out to me with the resume. The plain old resume that just says, like I said, top person, top this, that one gets passed over pretty fast in my eyes. One of the things that really drew me here was the serving part of what we were really focusing on, serving our people, serving the customers, serving other people. That was a big part of what I was looking for at that time in my life, and in a place where I could lead other people to do the same thing. That was what was intriguing, and EGW gave me the opportunity to come in and be a leader in that role, but to also build with serving other folks, and that to me was a really important thing, because that's what that inner reward is so much better than anything you get financially or the pat on the back or anything. But the fact that you grew and you've helped this company blossom the way they have, that's more of a reward than anything else you'll get.
It's interesting because the way we found you is an example of serving others, because we interviewed a guy and we were very interested in him, and but he didn't live where we wanted him to live, and his wife didn't want to move, and so but he passed on you as a recommendation to us. So that connection piece, I
stay in touch with him today. He's a good guy. I love him. So why do you think the company culture and the team that's been selected to be a solution provider is so important to our customers?
Well, customers can work with anybody, right? And unfortunately, there's a lot of different options customers have, but it's all about who you're working with and if they can trust you to satisfy their needs, right? So I think that comes down to the people, and we deliver through our people, and our customers need solutions to the issues that they've got, and they want to be able to trust you that you're going to solve their issue. If they're going to hire you or buy your product, you want them to stand behind what you're offering.
Yeah, 100% agree. Learn on one-on-one, we talked about how people are the number one thing and how challenging this really is right now, and it's a challenge that I haven't taken on before, but to know that we're going to build this team and succeed together and move forward, that's probably the most rewarding thing that I'm looking forward to getting out of this as we move forward as well.
Well, I really appreciate all you do, and I mean, part of my job that I like the most is working with people like you, right? I mean, we're building a team together. It's all about getting the right people, and I think you're critical to our success there, and I appreciate everything you're doing.
Thanks.